If you want to unlock your true potential in calisthenics, you first have to master the basics. But what if you're already beyond that point? Should you just jump right into the advanced moves and simply try them? No, of course not. Doing too hard things too early is like begging for an injury. Sure, in some cases it can work, but you can reach your goals as quickly and much safer if you just learn these 10 intermediate exercises first. Number 1 of them is the explosive pull-up. Explosive pull-ups are the go-to exercise for learning the muscle up because they are necessary to pull yourself above the bar and switch the grip. Besides that, they also allow you to do a lot of other exercises that all need explosive pulling strength. To improve your explosiveness in pull-ups, you first need some basic strength. I recommend reaching at least 10 very clean pull-ups. Once you are able to do that, you can start with chest to bar pull-ups. Here you try to pull yourself as high and as quickly as possible. Also make sure to keep the reps low and stop your set once you lose explosiveness. The goal is to only do a few very powerful reps without coming anywhere close to failure. When you get better, you can try to pull yourself to your waist or even to your hip, but this requires a more curved movement rather than just pulling yourself up in a straight line. Weighted pull-ups can also help to improve your explosiveness, but make sure they are just an addition rather than the main focus of your training. Talking about focus, if you want to progress as fast as possible, it's not only important to focus on the right exercises, but also a proper training plan or schedule. So if you don't want to worry about all the important details, make sure to get our comprehensive step-by-step calisthenics guides for different levels and goals. Okay, let's move on with the next exercise, which is the pullover. The pullover is an exercise that combines pulling and abdominal strength. It is also a great and much easier way to get above the bar if you aren't able to do muscle ups. To do it right, try to bring your waist to the bar and your legs behind the bar while leaning the shoulders back. To learn it as fast as possible, practice it on a low bar or use a box to get closer to a high bar. From here you jump or kick up and use a bit of momentum to get over the bar. Another way to learn this exercise is by doing negative pullovers or letting your training buddy support yourself at the sticky point. The next exercise is the handstand, and this movement is fundamental for a lot of advanced calisthenics skills. Without a solid handstand, you won't be able to learn handstand presses, handstand push-ups, 90-degree push-ups, tiger band push-ups, and so on. When it comes to handstand training, I have some good and some bad news for you. The good news is that handstands don't require that much strength and therefore can be learned by nearly everyone. The bad news is that handstands are mostly about patience. However, the first steps are learned pretty easily. Once you are able to do a solid pike stand, you work on your kick-ups and wall handstands, and then progress to wall handstands with foot releases. This is actually the last and hardest step, and it can take a while to build that necessary balance. If you have a training buddy, you can also ignore the wall and do it like that. To get the best results, make sure to practice handstands regularly, preferably in every workout. I like to practice my handstands for just about 15 to 20 minutes right after my warm-up. The next exercise is the bent arm handstand, and this movement is easier in terms of balance, but harder in terms of strength than the normal handstand with straight arms. Due to the bent arm position, your body is not in a complete vertical line like in a handstand, but still straight itself. The easiest progression is the tucked bent arm handstand, but if this is still too hard, you can do it on parallettes and rest your shoulders on the bars until you're getting stronger. Once you are able to release your shoulders, you can try to first extend one leg and later both legs. Similar to the handstand, you can also practice this exercise with a partner. Okay, let's move on to the next movement, which is the L-sit. This exercise is great for improving your mobility and also leads to harder exercises like the V-sit or toes to the bar. Similar to the bent arm handstand, you should start with tucked knees on parallettes. When you get stronger, you can add short single leg extensions and progress to L-sit kicks with both legs later. Once you are able to do this, you can focus on holding the extended leg position for longer. The final goal is to do the L-sit on the ground, but this requires way more mobility and supporting strength because you have less space between your lower body and the ground. Similar but still different to that is the straddle sit. This exercise builds foundational strength for the planche or the stalder press while improving your hip mobility in a straddle leg position at the same time. It's way more focused on front deltoid and serratus anterior strength than the L-sit and improves the straddle instead of the pike position. Similar to the previous exercises, you should start on parallettes or parallel bars and support yourself on your forearms until you are strong enough to lift yourself up. The stronger you get, the more you can lift your legs up and with that progress to the harder skills that I mentioned before. If you get cramps in your quads or hip flexors, you can start with bent legs and extend them once you are getting used to this position. Next we take a look at an exercise that is called skin the cat. This movement builds the foundation for the front and back lever and any other straight arm variation of these movements. I know that this exercise can be a bit scary and also hard to do if you've never pulled yourself up with straight arms. So if you're having a hard time doing it, start with your feet on the ground and jump into and out of the movement until you get used to it. Once you are able to do it without feet support, you can make it harder by extending your legs more and more. I also recommend doing this exercise on rings because your arms can move freely, you can adjust the height pretty easily, and you have no bar that is blocking your movement path. Okay, now we're taking a look at calisthenics leg exercises because skipping leg day is not an option. The first is the high step up. This unilateral movement is a good gap closer between basic and a bit more advanced bodyweight leg exercises and improves your knee stability as well as hip and ankle mobility. To do it right, you need a bench, a chair, a box or any other stable object with the correct height. Too low and it's not challenging enough. Too high and you won't be able to do it without using momentum. To get the right center of gravity, shift your weight a bit forward, release the rear leg slowly and try to get up as controlled as possible. Another intermediate leg exercise are box or high jumps. This exercise falls into the plyometric training category and is an amazing way to build explosive lower body strength while hitting your calves, glutes and quads. Box jumps can also be a bit scary, so if you want to make them as safe as possible, start doing high jumps on the ground first, or choose a very low object and increase the height you're jumping on step by step. To reduce the impact for your joints, I also have two more important tips you should follow. First, never land flat-footed. Instead, try to land softly with the balls of your feet and let your calves act as stabilizers. And second, only jump up but not down. Jumping down has a much higher impact on your joints and it's also harder to coordinate it properly because you're jumping backwards. Instead, step down or use your hands as a support. The last exercise, which is the back bridge, requires a mix of strength and mobility. This movement allows you to do impressive transitions but is more than just a circus trick. The back bridge will hit your complete posterior chain while opening up your anterior chain. It challenges you in terms of spine, but even more shoulder and wrist mobility. If you've never tried it before, it's not unusual that you can push yourself up. In this case, you can try to hold the back bridge with bent arms or even use your head for support. Alright guys, make sure to include or at least try these intermediate exercises because they are the gap closer between basics and advanced calisthenics skills. If you're looking for a calisthenics guide that combines these exercises to a full step-by-step training program, simply head over to calimove.com. Just pick the complete calisthenics program and you're ready to go.